Good morning. I hope everything's going great in your life today and that it's a beginning of a wonderful week for you. If you're in our area of the world and you're experiencing a lot of rain and some cooler weather, but we needed the rain and I suppose we need the cool weather. Today I want to talk to you about the ninth of the Ten Commandments as given in Deuteronomy chapter 5. And it's a simple one. It says, do not give false testimony against your neighbor, or don't bear false witness, or don't tell a lie. The whole notion of it is that we ought to be a people whose word you can trust, whose word is indeed our bond, and that we are not telling one thing after another and it changes all the time, so that we sort of are able to make up the story to fit whatever we want it to tell at any given time. You know, it's interesting how absolutely difficult it is to be someone that is constantly a truth teller. Now, just think about how important this point is. When you get into the New Testament, you're going to read things like this from Ephesians chapter 4, when he says, therefore, verse 25, therefore each of you must put off falsehood and speak truthfully to your neighbor, for we're all members of one body. And so he's particularly talking about the need to be truthful with one another inside the body of Christ, inside the church. We ought to be a people that are willing to speak truth to one another. And sometimes that's a challenge. It's hard just to be able to say the things that are honest and right. Somebody asks a question, we really don't want to answer it the way we would just honestly feel, and so we skirt around it some way. Even in the home and the family. You think about when a wife comes in and got a new dress on or whatever and says, hey, do I look fat in this, or something of that nature. It's tough to be able to speak truth and be kind one to another at the same time. And yet both are obligations of it. Now listen, the matter of speaking truth has more to do with our being people of integrity. Have you known people that if they told you something, you'd be willing to stake your life that was exactly what actually had taken place? They were that trustworthy in your mind, and so you had no problem depending on exactly what they had to say. But haven't you known others that when they told you something, you always question, I wonder if that really did happen as they said, or I just wonder what really did take place, because they've got a history, in our mind at least, of telling things that aren't exactly the way they are told. And so we lose that sense of trust. God longs for us to be the kind of people whose word is indeed our bond. Our word can be trusted. We're people of integrity and of honesty in everything we do. Well, how serious does God really take this matter? Look at Revelation chapter 21, verse 8. But the fearful, the unbelieving, the idolaters, the immoral, and all liars will have their part in the lake that flows with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. How serious is the Lord about our being people who are honest and telling the truth? Well, pretty serious. Because he said, if I'm one that is a liar, if I lie about the things that are going on and about whatever it might be, then he said, I'll have my part in that lake that flows with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. Truth matters. Being people of honesty and integrity matters. It certainly matters when I am striving to live a life to be an example as a Christian. You know, you think about if I'm trying to witness for Jesus to someone, and yet as they listen to my words, they've known me long enough to know that you can't really depend on what I say. See, if that's the case, then even my witness for Jesus will go nowhere, because I'm not given that way of life, that appearance, that just consistency of telling the truth that would cause everyone to take my word for whatever it is. You know, have you ever had to testify in court? You ever been in that situation where they would have you to hold, you swear and tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God, and you raise your hand? Did you tell the truth? See, wouldn't it be something if we did all of that and we bore the witness before the court, if you will, and then it was learned that we weren't telling the truth at all? What kind of reputation, kind of influence would I have in the world after being one whose word was demonstrated not to be true, not to be right? I need to be one that has that kind of relationship. I remember as a small boy going with my dad one time to the bank in Vernon, Alabama, where I grew up, and Mr. Bragg was the banker that we talked to, and I was just, I don't know, probably maybe 10 years old. I don't remember, but I was small, and Mr. Bragg, my dad was asking for a loan, and I certainly don't remember how much or what it was for, but he was asking for a loan, and Mr. Bragg turned over to me as a little boy and said, "Son, I want to tell you something. I'm going to give your dad this loan today, not because of anything that he's going to put up as collateral." And I honestly didn't know what in the world collateral was at that time, but I remember his speech. He said, "I'm not going to do that, but I know your dad, and I know I can trust him. And so I'm going to give him this loan based only on his signing this agreement, because I know he's a man of integrity. And I hope you grow up to be that kind of man as well." Well, that's intriguing. That's probably been just about 70 years ago. And I still remember that conversation as though and I can still just see us sitting there, and here I am, that little boy leaning up in my chair to listen to what this man had to say. Honesty makes all the difference in the world. I need to be that kind of person that just is known by keeping my word or keeping my promise, whatever it is. If I make a commitment, then I'm going to do everything in my power to carry it out. If I make a loan, I'm going to be one that pays off that loan. Whatever it is. Just be that one that you can depend on my word in everything. Don't let falsehoods come out of your mouth. Tell the truth in every situation. It'll make all the difference in the world. Now, sometimes it's hard to tell the truth, because you know the truth is going to hurt someone deeply. And so I can tell the truth in a kind, considerate, caring way, or I can tell the truth in a way that is almost meant to hurt. God didn't say just tell the truth without any regard. I'm still to be kind, caring, considerate, and compassionate along with it. May God bless you.